Hello and welcome to Master Manual, a practical guide for DMs, GMs, and just wanna BMs and other folks too. This is a podcast where we talk about Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition and other role-playing games, mostly from a dungeon master's perspective. I'm Spencer Crittenden. As we always have said, we try to keep the lights on here in the studio, and we've fallen on some hard times, and it's failed, and we cannot keep the lights on. I've rigged a bicycle to a generator, and I think that might help make it work, but it doesn't have enough energy to power Cohen, unfortunately. So I'm just flying solo, and we're going to take a bunch of commercial breaks because, as you all know, that's the only way we can keep the lights on. Literally, during the breaks, I'm going to go rev up the generator, get enough juice so we could keep going. We would, just do the easy way, run the generator for like an hour to generate enough energy to, power the thing. And so you don't have to do it in quick spurts and bursts. But we used too many blood batteries. And as you all know, they do not have the highest capacity. But, Hey, Cohen, how often does this happen to you?
What's that?
You're fighting an enemy, but his weapon can pierce anything but emerald armor.
Yeah, it happens a lot when I'm fighting the Emerald Dragon, when I'm fighting Emerald, the rogue in our party whose name sounds like Emerald. Yeah, it happens. The Green Ganker.
The Green Ganker, of course.
Yeah.
And who can forget the Chartreuse Chanteuse? That's why Emerald Knight presents Emerald Knight's Emerald Body Armor.
Wow, I'm sorry. You're talking about the green gem, but it's covering your whole body protectively?
Not just the green gem. This is a green gem that's enchanted and strengthened by magic, and some say it comes from another world.
Oh shit.
Oh shit indeed, and not just because I'm currently parallel parking.
Like a king, like a god might.
Oh,
You're
no.
very good at this.
That's because Emerald Knight's Emerald Body Armor gives you +5 to driving checks.
Spencer drives like he was born and raised in Los Angeles.
And I was.
Which is to say he is very good at parallel parking.
At least simple parallel parking where you don't have to go between cars.
Now, I hope that we're going to go into this Emerald Knights. It's a little shop. It's on Burbank Boulevard.
Wearing our Emerald Knights brand body armor.
That's true. And we're going to see if they have any little things to purchase. And then we're going to talk about our little purchases. So
this doesn't seem related to the ad.
Oh, it's sort of a really good ad, though, for Emerald Knights, isn't it?
Not for Emerald Knight's body armor.
Oh, right.
Which offers +7 armor class.
+7 armor class. That's really broken.
Or your money back.
Well, I think I don't know about that's sort of really. Does it have any like restrictions or penalties to?
It has spell resistance.
That's just makes it even stronger. This is an unbalanced piece of armor. I don't know if we can in good faith sell this.
Well, that's why it's only 14 million gold pieces.
Okay, well that's fair. So you basically need the wish spell to get this.
A wish spell, a demon. You could steal it.
Steal it from Tiamat.
Steal it from Tiamat with Emerald Knight's Emerald Body Armor. Use the promo code Emerald Knights.
If you don't know.
All right. Well, I mean, this is just going to keep happening. So let's just talk. What do I want to do today? I was thinking today could be a special show and tell episode because I don't know what's going on. And let's start with me. I'm going to show and tell some stuff from me and then maybe some other stuff. So let's see how it happens. It'll be bad because this is a bonus-sode. I mean, it's not, but it's fulfilling that role. It's like a makeup-sode, a mini-sode, a filler-sode. Anyway, wait. Do you have chapped dragon skin? Use Dragon Balm to...
Dragon Balm. I prefer Dragon Balm Z.
Use Dragon Balm and now Dragon Balm Z to unfuck your scuck.
Unfuck your bleeding draconic hole.
Your cracked draconic lizard glands hole.
Why are your tongue and teeth so drenched in the blood of your broken face?
Because you haven't tried Dragon Bomb Z.
Just glue all your shit back together so you can go out into the world, you piece of crap.
Use the promo code Master Manual and get 10% off.
Oh, it's... Don't leave money on the table. Haven't you fucked up enough?
So what I wanted to talk about today was Dungeon World, which, if you listened to the last episode, you heard me talk about the Sly Flourish, the Lazy Dungeon Master. And I read that book. It took a very short amount of time. They have an updated book for $8. I bought the one for $6. I would recommend both of them. I would recommend you first get the first book and then buy the second book. But if you're only going to buy one, buy the second book. Please buy the stuff. But yeah, anyway, I read the book and I wanted to follow up and continue study. And so I put on a book. Well, I picked up a book that I had been putting off for a while, Dungeon World, which Adam Goldberg, enemy of the podcast, has recommended to me. Oh, God, the lights are flickering. No, we're fine. Anyway, so because I don't like taking notes from people, I didn't heed his advice and I shoved it away from my memory and I said, this is all bad because it comes from people who are giving me notes. And I didn't think about it. And I heard more whispers and musings of Dungeon World and it seemed really exciting and interesting, unique, intuitive. And I wanted to take a look. I skimmed the book a couple times, but recently, I actually read the thing and I just wanted to talk through some of it. So the coolest thing about Dungeon World is it's a top-down game, I would say. I mean, I don't know if this is true. That's just kind of my perception. Top-down design means you kind of start with the big picture concepts, aesthetics, and ideas, emotions, and then you kind of build the game that creates and represents those things actively. So I think the term came from Magic: The Gathering design, where they started at the top of the card and picked the name, and then designed the text and the rules of the card based on the name. And so they would be like, "It's a cat," and then it's like, "Well, what would a cat do in Magic?" And so if you think about Dungeons and Dragons as a bottom-up design, you start with the rules, and then you work out from there. Dungeons and Dragons, I think it starts with the rules interactions, right? Here's a resolution mechanic. It's called a D20. Here's the stats. Here's a modifier. Here's how you roll a check. Here's how you roll an opposed check. Here's how stats and skill ranks factor into that. Even in 5th edition, it's kind of like that. You start with the basic rules and you build up. In the 5th edition, they kind of start with character generation, but it's still like, oh, what is this game you're playing? Here's what it is. It's you choose a character and then you fill them out. And that's still just putting the mechanics first. Whereas Dungeon World actually starts with the idea. It's like, what are we trying to do? We're trying to play a fun fantasy role-playing game with our friends where we do cool stuff and face terrible dangers and have a great time. And then they kind of built out of that, like, how do we work backwards to get there? So instead of focusing on the resolution mechanics, I guess it kind of still is similar. It focuses on the concept of moves. So instead of saying like, okay, so here's the fundamental physics of the game. It's a D20 and you roll it, and that's a percentage randomness thing that makes it all happen. In Dungeon World, there's a series of moves. And so like hack and slash, for instance, is a move that's basically an attack of some sort, or defend. And or discern realities. So you could like determine if like someone's lying or something. But they kind of chunk everything that you could do into into categories of moves, and then they resolve the moves in various rules ways that follow from the fiction. But they make it very clear that it's the fiction first, the situation, and then you apply to rules, which is very different than D&D. In D&D, if you want to defend something, you want to look up, oh, I want to use my shield or aid another action. And then if you have a feat or you have some sort of shield proficiency, maybe you can use your shield and give them your shield bonus and not just this static bonus. And so if you want to be a defender, you better look up the rule to know how to effectively defend and then utilize that rule in the proper circumstance. Well, in Dungeon World, it's completely different. You go, oh, I want to defend this person. I'm gonna put my hand, put my arm out to block their baton. And then so it's like, okay, that's what you're trying to do. You're trying to defend. So let's look at what that means. That's a defend. That's a defend move. You're making a move to defend. And then it defines that in the rules interaction. Like, let's just look it up real quick. So the defend option says when you stand in defense of a person, item, or location, that's kind of the circumstances under which you're using the move. And it allows you to redirect an attack from the thing you're defending onto yourself. You can have the attack's effect or damage, cut it in half. You can open up the attacker making the attack to an ally, so the ally has a better shot at the attacker, or you can deal damage to the attacker. So it's like it's one move to cover all of these ways someone can defend something depending on the circumstances. So if it's like you wanted to put your arm in the way of the sword, you can just kind of redirect that sword attack to yourself, and then they won't get hit at all. You absolutely will get hit. So like it gives you a lot of more creative freedom while it mediates the rules, and it sets up the rules such that they help mediate the fictional situation more than it sets up circumstances where you can check whether or not rules apply. I think that's very valuable. I think that kind of top-down design is a real way to shake up the way that DMs and personally me think about the game. There's this book called Whack on the Side of the Head. That's another one I want to read about how to inspire and spur creativity. And it talks about the need to get into different perspectives and approach things from different angles. So to me, the idea of Dungeon World taking me as like this by the book D&D kind of classically trained DM to like this Dungeon World, which is very improv heavy, very fun and games, game night kind of experience. It just opens my mind and helps me see like the way the game actually functions as a social situation and how to like control that better. I really like it because I don't know, I think everyone should read it just because again it gives you this new way of thinking about it. I think it's really cool to think of things in terms of moves. It also talks about dungeon master moves, like ways that you as the dungeon master can move things forward, and just categorizing things in moves like this. It just really helps think and categorize and codify what we're trying to do, right? We're not just trying to like tell a story. We're trying to do specific things. Maybe we're trying to send a goblin in to shoot up a tavern or something. Or, you know, maybe you're just trying to have a weird were-rat running away with a strange treasure. But whatever you're doing, it's like some sort of move, you know, that you're trying to pull for some sort of effect. So understanding that you're trying to pull a move and the effect you're trying to go for, and understanding how to best achieve that, rather than understanding what mechanics you have access to and how you can stack those mechanics to create different results. I think that's just a very valuable perspective that really undercuts a lot of traditional D&D wisdom in what I think is a very healthy and helpful way for people who are trying to learn how to improve, what they can do, how to do the things they can do, how other people do the things. I don't know. Overall, I really recommend it. I think someone from them should come and talk to us sometime about it. And short of that, I think everyone should buy it and tweet about how good it is, but not connect it to us, just so it seems organic. Hey guys, it's me, Spencer. We want to talk to you about dragon milk.
Dragon milk?
Dragon milk is the milk for dragons. Not by dragons.
Not by they don't make it?
Dragon milk is spun from the dragon milk spiders of the Underdark, and because dragons can't be bothered to make their own milk.
They also can't get down there unless they're shadow dragons.
No, that's where the driders come in.
Yeah. Driders are like a centaur, but a spider. It's very sexy.
The driders need your help. They're not doing so well.
And for the price of less than a cup of human milk, that's milk from humans, not milk for humans. You can, you can get the dragon milk for your dragons and also help the drider community. Yeah.
Which is struggling. It's good for you. It's giving back to the community.
Because it sucks. Because, you know, like they have such a cool community, and then you just get these Drugar just come in. Is it Duragar?
Dwergar.
Dwergar. Under dwarves who just
evil
come in
dwarves,
and they just fucking gentrify the shit out of it. They come in mining their silver.
They get large.
They don't even, you know, and it's like, stay in your lane. It's the dwarven one.
It's like, what are you, a dwarf or a giant? You can't have it both ways.
Anyway, get on down there and slap a spider's titty and get some milk for your thirsty dragon.
Or, you know, you can have it too.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't recommend it.
No, it'll kill you.
It is actually, don't drink it.
It is lethal also for dragons.
Use the promo code Master Manual.
Master Manual Milk Titty.
Master Manual Milk Titty at checkout.
All right. Okay.
All right, so that was my show and tell. I don't know. One of the coolest things about doing this is just seeing cool things that people have done, hearing about cool stories people have gotten involved with, and just seeing the kinds of crafts people have made, the art they've done. It's just really exciting. So, I don't know. I might be looking at some art. Hopefully we'll link to it, but hopefully we'll get some of that stuff to you, or hopefully it makes sense in audio. But let's just get started with some show and tell. I'm looking at the Discord, going through some content to mine it for content. Oh, yeah. William Weird says, it was a must that O'Houlihan had to exist in my current campaign. This incarnation is O'Houlihan, the farmer's market. And it's like a farmer's market in space. It's a giant O'Houlihan type building with similar mini O'Houlihan type buildings surrounding it. It's like an astral island in an astral sea. He says, all the vendors are just tendrils of O'Houlihan and have the same soothing, folksy voice, but hide their legs and feet behind robes and shop stall tables. O'Houlihan does a legitimate practice with the local produce farmers as a front to hide its true nature. In this world, mimics are hunted for use as animate object potions, and O'Houlihan tries to raise their mindless young on whatever it can find. He goes on to say in his world, he uses bullet carapaces as armor. Gelatinous cubes get used for various magical reagents. I just think it's a cool idea. Obviously, O'Houlihan was a living pub, but now he's a living farmer's market. I think it's a cool idea. And thanks, William Weird, for sharing. And thanks for letting me steal it for content. Like for this. I'm not going to make crazy stuff out of it. We're not getting paid for this. As always, our Discord is a wonderful place for people to come and create or have fun. We have all sorts of channels for different cool things. Right now, I'm looking at this Loot Table or Brute Fable table. You can play the home version of Loot Table or Brute Fable. So Most Random Hero did exactly that. Let's see. She got, I think, right? The Queen of Cups, and made up a monster multiple monsters called Badenazoids, frequently serving as counselors, scouts, and psychics for the nobility of the land. Badenazoids are gifted empaths with powers from birth that allow them to absorb and understand the excess emotions of other beings. This helps bring balance and order to conflict, making them very useful in situations requiring diplomatic finesse. Do not cross them, though. A Badenazoid enemy could drain all joy away from you permanently. They are typically a kind and generous race, though, except in matters of protecting their own. Thanks so much, Most Random Hero, for that lovely Loot Table or Brute Fable. I suppose it was a Brute Fable. D. Dennis M. has Leoman's Mangy Meth Trailer. A 15-foot by 5-foot by 5-foot box appears around you and up to 5 medium creatures or smaller creatures in the area. The spell fails if there's a creature larger than medium or more than 5 creatures. It ends if you leave the area. The box is mobile, but a DC 20 strength check is required to dislodge it from its magical cinder blocks. Until the spell ends, you can make the inside be dimly lit or dark. The outside is opaque of any color that you choose as long as it's black. Creatures and objects in the dome's area, when you cast the spell, can move through it freely. Everything else is unable to enter. Spells and other magical effects can't pass the barrier of the dome on either end. The dome's atmosphere is always stuffy and reeks of pipeweed. Potions crafted within the hut are imbued with additional potency at the DM's discretion and in half the time. So thanks so much, D. Dennis M., as well as Most Random Hero, right? Most Random Hero? Most Random Hero. Davenporter. The underscore Davenport. The underscore Davenporter writes, Bangle of Priority. A gnarled and painful-looking bangle forged from a grand magician's wand. The secret to the magician's success was her ability to prioritize her ambition and not be swayed from the path. You shall not be swayed either. The wearer of the bangle will be single-minded in their goal until it is obtained. They will step over gold, ignore the pleas of the needy, and be rid of distracting acts such as healing or rest. But you know all this. The bangle can only be put on voluntarily. And with your goal and the next goal in sight, why would you ever take it off? I think that's a cool idea. It's like a Gias quest spell, but an item, kind of. You know, that GS quest spell is pretty crazy. Have you ever used that for interesting things? I think Cohen once mentioned they used it on the Adventure Zone or something, or maybe that was Magic Jar. Probably both, honestly. Let's do one more by Most Random Hero, who's come up with the Fabergé Cuckoo Egg. Cursed egg and clockwork cuckoo. The Fabergé Cuckoo Egg is a cursed egg found in and near treasure hoards. It appears beautiful and bejeweled to all that gaze upon it. Its radius enchants adventurers into taking it before any other treasure. When touched, the egg then bonds with its new owner and hatches to show the clockwork cuckoo inside. The bonded adventurer feels an overwhelming urge to protect it other all things. The clockwork cuckoo then emits a loud and constant chirp, hypnotizing the bound adventurer to feed it all of the treasure they can find. This cursed adventurer will continue caring for the cuckoo until either they or the cuckoo are permanently silenced. Thanks again to Most Random Hero for the excellent content. We are just... Oh, and I say we, but it's just me. Cohen probably would have condoned this kind of thing. Just openly stealing the content of our users. But that's good. Next step, I'm going to just say I drew all this fan art everyone drew. Oh, yeah.
Gut rocks.
Gut rocks. Good? Gut rocks bad.
4 out of 5 scientists agree that if you have rocks in your gut, you have problems.
That's why Dr. Stu Defense recommends Gut Rock Parasites.
Yeah. So here's what they are. It's a handful of loose parasites.
Right.
You can see them, so don't have to worry.
They come in a clear bag.
And they're big enough that you can discern them individually and as pieces of a larger mass.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Which is very important for the next thing we're about to tell you.
Yeah. So you just lay those along your arm. Any that don't fall off when you give it a good shake.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want the ones that fall off. Those are dead. Scoop them all up off your arm that they're on and just eat them.
They will retain their main mass, but once they get close to the gut rocks, they'll spread out, and you'll be able to determine which ones are going after which gut rocks.
And you'll determine that just by like looking at the surface of your belly where they will be visible against the skin.
Right. They do glow softly.
This is hands down the grossest one of these we have done.
No.
It has to
This is a great product that we stand by, and that's why Dr. Stu Defense gives you his money-back guarantee on Gut Rock Parasites. If you don't die, your money back.
Yeah. All right. Thank you for enduring this.
Use the promo code GUTROCKS.
At our website and at their website.
GUTROCKS. Don't get them. And if you have them, get these things.
Yeah, they should have, I feel like Gut Rocks shouldn't have been their slogan if their thing was getting rid of it. But what are we going to do?
Right. This is another thing that we are being paid. And so I don't know if we want to undermine their sales techniques.
No, I'm sorry. I'm reading from the code. Like they want it. Oh, I shouldn't be reading this. No, I'm looking. It
no,
says
that's a note
this
to
is all part of it.
Right.
Like this is a whole thing. And they were like, can you give us something really meta and, in Greek, very cloying. We want it to sound natural.
Right.
I don't know why I did a bad Woody Allen impression. Let's just move on.
Well, bad Woody Allen, yeah.
Yeah, it's grosser than the Gut Rocks.
So let's wrap this up, huh? I just want to talk through some feedback we got, show you that feedback is important or something. I mean, who knows what I'm trying to prove other than I want people to like me? I don't know. Anyway, Elaine P. Batt says, I think that the GM anxiety we talked about in the last episode, that's my addition, applies as well to players too. I mean, nobody wants to be the guy who forgot to bring his character for the 5th time or having a backstory that isn't meshed well and stuff. That's a good point. I think that everyone can suffer from anxiety related to D&D. I think, social anxiety is a serious problem, and we're all, not all of us, but, a lot of us are kind of nerds. I don't know about you. I'm bad at making friends. Anyway, all of this is to say that there's a lot of bullshit outside of D&D that leaks into D&D that makes D&D worse or makes us feel bad. And I just think that's very legitimate. We kind of talked about that in the last episode, is that I was like theorizing that a lot of these factors seem like they're not endemic to D&D. They're just kind of people things, which got back to the core premise of our show a lot of times. Let's see. Willie K says, doing improv has helped a lot with my performance anxiety. The first time I felt like I was going to throw up before the show, but I've learned that I can perform under pressure by now. So I'm a bit anxious the day of, but now it's much more manageable. Same, Willie K, same. As you know, I was been on Harmontown. It took several months and certainly through the tour for me to stop feeling like I was going to throw up before every single show. I remember crying on my way to the show, feeling like I was going to throw up just out of fear and anxiety. I still get that to some extent. Much, much less, but it still happens occasionally. So it's like it's not gone for me, but it's so much diminished. But I definitely know what you're talking about. It's horrible. It feels god-awful. And I'm sorry if anyone goes through anything like that. I don't know. Maybe there's better ways to get over it other than going and just doing it more and more. I don't know. I'm not a psychologist, you guys. Let's see. Willie K also says he likes to do improv warm-up games before D&D, and he also has one of the players do the recap before each session because it lets him know what he found or what the players found significant. I always also like this method. I like having the players start off the discussion, and I usually just add in with my additions because, like he said, it's really important because you're on the one side of the table in your own perceptions, and the players have their own completely separate ones. So having them kick things off and them talk about what they thought was happening is really important for you going forward to know how to slot that in with your next session. Most Random Hero writes, the performance anxiety aspect of DMing and playing resonates with me so much. My husband has been a DM since he was 12 years old. I only started running games 7 years ago, so there's always some backseat driving where I have to tune out his ideas and keep myself on track. Time management around work is tough already, but that added pressure of being better than the best DM, who happens to be your husband, is tough. Plus, it has recently been a problem for me as a player to be in his games because then anytime I do something helpful, I get treated as someone who's in the know. That's like that seems like a social problem. That sucks. We all have our own little DM anxiety monkey on our backs. True. Will Bill says, the discussion of like anxiety and overcommitment today were very salient as well. This is something I think I know the reasons for, but I found it astounding what percentage of D&D forum posts, Reddit threads are centered around this one player is screaming and cheating and flipped the table over. It seems like a huge portion of the community surrounds the social dynamics, or discussion surrounds social dynamics. I've been blessed in that I've been playing with a super tight friend group for people I've met through improv, and we never had these problems. But I'd be interested in hearing our thoughts on the social dynamic aspects, specifically why they tend to be so prevalent and how people deal with and grow from them. So Cohen's not here. Sorry. I just think that miscommunication, problems with expectations, form most problems that humans have with each other. And so naturally, if D&D is something that could have problems, they're going to, fall into those misset expectations and miscommunications camp. I just think that's fundamental. Also, we're talking about kind of creative ideas. That's always very emotional territory. It's not like a writer's room, but in a writer's room, if you want to tell someone their idea sucks, it's just very hard to do that in a cool way. So a lot of D&D is like that. It's like, oh, I had this cool idea. What if the goblin goes up the ladder? And then it's like, well, that's stupid. And it's like, it's not stupid. Fuck you. So like that, it's just the social dynamics is I think, all of our lives because we're humans. But then also, again, like I said, I think that there might be a tendency for underrepresentation of socially balanced people in the D&D sphere. So we might be dealing with problems like this that they don't have in sports because they're just better at working out problems. Or maybe I'm wrong. Let's see. Let's continue. In my experience, this is still Will Bill. In my experience, I've seen tons of people come to improv as antisocial approval seekers get humbled and change their behavior for the better. I'm wondering if that's not a thing that can or does happen more in this community. I would say that does happen. I think that improv has that impact on people, that ego death. I think that can happen in D&D, but then like I said, I think because it can be more distorted, I think that might have less potential for the positive outgrowth. But I think generally it does do that. I think it might take a long time to happen. I think that my relationship with people has only improved from my access to D&D, and understanding people through D&D has helped me understand like the disconnects I have with people. So I think it really does help people grow, but also I think it can fester horrible behaviors depending on the context. But yeah, talking about overcommitting and the feeling that need to take time away is super relevant life advice. It can be powerful to step away for a while, realize that the world is still there for you to go back to when you want, and that 6 months isn't half as long as it sounds like. So, if we stop airing episodes for 6 months, just realize that the world is still there. No, I'm kidding. It's all good. We have season breaks, so we could take little breaks so we don't get burnt out. It's all in service of this kind of thing. Graham says, I really like the discussion about how DMing and playing feels and how the cycle of going from playing in a million games to not playing anywhere. It's relatable and it's great to experience these perspectives, and I'd never realized how much the renaissance of D&D had contributed to this social anxiety / FOMO / pressure to have a good time playing. Thank you for this podcast. To which Asterion Lives replies, there's somewhat of a magical awakening going on, and I think it'll bring some great lessons to D&D, which is, if not adjacent to it, an occult practice. It seems to me that a lot of people are being tossed into processes they have no experience in, and that's a great way to learn, but others are letting it get out of hand. We tend not to think like this, but media has a life of its own, and it's not a civilized animal like us. It's surviving any way it can, even at our expense. It's a very metaphysical point to make. It might be problematic. I think it's probably fine. I think it's interesting to think of D&D and like social phenomenons as things that have their own energy in life, because I think that is true. It's like we create something and then someone goes like, oh, it's a duck. And then they go and tell their friend, and then it has this life on its own. And then their access to it becomes totally different than my access to it. And then that friction creates all sorts of unintended consequences that no one could have planned. And so it really is taking on a life of its own that has nothing to do with my ambitions as a creator for it. So I think that D&D does that too. And I don't know, anything that can become a phenomenon or an activity, I think, has the potential to do that to people and warp their lives in positive or negative ways. And I think he's trying to get at that sort of, or they, I guess, trying to get at that sort of idea, trying to bring that up. I think that's a cool concept. So, yeah. Let's see. Are there any? Oh, wait. Oh, the lights. God.
Hey, this is Pexis the Muscle Mage coming to you with a new muscle-bound product, Cohen and Field.
For me?
For everybody who listening to this, it's called books. Pexis the Muscle Mage's book brand books. Read them.
All right. Well, I do like reading.
Use the promo code Goblin Flakes.
Okay. Thanks, Pexis. I can always count on you. We should hang out more.
Oh, yeah. Just buy my book brand books and we'll schedule an appointment. We can pencil it in on one of my book brand books.
This is kind of a mercenary friendship already, but I guess I did ask
I have you down for 3.
Okay. 3 o'clock or three
copies.
3. Oh, okay. Well, all right. It's how many? Okay. That sounds fun, Pexis. I'd like to talk about your books.
Oh, yeah.
I'd like to support you as an artist and as a wizard, as a thaumaturge, and as a bodybuilder.
They got pages.
All right, we're back. I'm pretty worn out, I gotta say, but I got like 20 miles on this bike. So let me just do one fail mail to take us out. TrevBoy12 says, I'm the DM of our group, and we had a session Tuesday night. I had the party try to stop a hobgoblin siege on a refugee camp. They approached the horde at night and were trying to figure out how to assassinate the leader. My wife, a half-elf wizard, used Alt herself and a potion of understanding to sneak into the camp to locate the main tent. When she finally found the heavily guarded tent, the barbarian got bored and charged straight in, attracting the attention of the whole horde. Although this drew enough attention for my wife to hurl a fireball at the main tent and obliterate everything, the team decided to run away because a hill giant and 2 ogres joined the attack on the party. My plan was for them to flee because without a leader, the horde would have to regroup. It went well until my wife, trying to leave the camp, turned the corner into the until my wife, who was trying to leave the camp, turned the corner into the hill giant and the 2 ogres and decided to cast magic missile on the 3. I panicked and had to improvise a bunch of stuff, and it almost murdered the whole party. Well, I gotta say, I'm interested in wondering how you what you improvised and how you got through that. That would be pretty interesting, you know. But yeah, shit goes south. This kind of gets back to what we were talking about in the Sly Flourish. I want to talk about the Lazy Dungeon Master, but I want to make you buy it and read it first before I even talk about it, just so people aren't going to try and, you know, take money out of that man's pockets to listen to our podcast. That's the last thing we want to do. Oh, boy. I just want everyone to be happy and everyone to have the tools in their tool belt. Right, Cohen? Yeah, he's still turned off. That's probably insulting. Sorry, Cohen. Yeah. So basically, all that there is left is to say, thanks for listening. Join the Discord. check out our vibrant and thrumming community of creative sensitives. Follow us on the accounts. I don't know, Master Manual Pod, I think is all of them. Send us an email, questions. Yeah, it's all good stuff. I really found out that mastery is manual and my hammies are burning. Oh yeah. And looks like we booked it again. And it looks like Team Rocket is blasting off again.